Hey there friends, welcome to episode 27 of my Sea Ice series for Rimworld. I'm Icon and today, well, let's just hope that we will today see some resupply of building materials soon. Because honestly, there is not really much these poor guys can do out here on the ice. The news are we got a new character in the colony and we are now at a point of food consumption where I'm not even able to produce anything besides food anymore. So we're really down to our luck and hoping for some good caravan trade ship event spawning soon, because it can take forever at this point. We are now past I don't know how many slave ships and other unnecessary traders, so something good ought to happen at some point soon. We can't really have bad luck all the time. So since there's not really anything I can do beyond waiting, I'm going to skip forward to the next event. 1.5 days from here, we had a big event. No, not really. We had a spaceship chunk crashing from the sky, which was kind of like the biggest thing happening in the last few days. But I don't want to sound too mopey about that. Spaceship chunks do yield a multitude of valuable materials, and we can ultimately trade with those components again. So let's see, Husky sitting. 4 Huskies for 23 days. Well, this is technically not even really possible for us, unless we would go for feeding them raiders all the time, but most... Okay, I'm not doing this because of 2 reasons. Firstly, I don't want to be responsible for 4 dogs for 23 days. That's just a ton of work to keep them sustained and everything. I mean, we do have a lot of raiders too. The food won't be that issue, but the micromanagement and the moral debuffs from seeing dead corpses will be. And beyond that, 23 days are a really long time, and 4 Huskies do have a certain monetary value. If I add them into my colony, the attacks will grow stronger. But at the same time, I can't use these Huskies to fight off my enemies because they have to stay alive. So that's... Since the attacks are growing more and more spooky lately, I'm not willing to take that extra risk for that low of a reward. Yeah, it would be really cool to finally invoke Julian's psionic skills, because the honor would be enough for that. But at the same time, I really don't want to risk a total annihilation, or just something like, yay, everything's well for 20 days, and at day 21... something bad happens, one of the dogs dies, and all the work was for naught. So that's why I won't do that. But beyond that, we're now going back to fast forwarding to the next events, because sadly the steel is not enough to do anything with it, so we have to wait again. Another 1 or 2 days later, we finally had a event spawning on us, and I'm not that super happy about it. We got ourselves trapped in a mechanoid cluster situation, but luckily there's nothing happening except for this thing activating after a certain amount of time. So basically what it will do, it will slaughter enemies and or friendlies as well. All I need to take care of is to assign some zoning menu, which we will just do in a sec. Let's name that danger. It's an inverted zone at first, and now I'm clearing zones out of the danger area. Just like that. This way, my folks are allowed to do anything on the map except for getting closer to this zone. There we go. Probably want to cut out that corner here as well. I like to do that a little bit more generously before being sorry. And now all we need to do is to assign that to our folks. Generously, because there's a Lancer among them. Or, no, there's not. But if there are any ranged units among the cluster, it's good to have the zone a little bit larger, so that if the mechanoids are wandering around, they don't accidentally shoot your people. Okay, so that's not going to do much for now. the countdown activator will wake up these thingies, but since I don't plan on getting close, I'm pretty sure that sooner or later a raid will trigger that thing and it will go boom on them. Apart from that, I'm not able to do much more than waiting, because we're now training Julian's plant skill. But even if we wouldn't train his plant skill, I'm pretty sure that we would yield like 30 to 50 rice more than we eat right now. And that's also blocking us from doing industrialized packaged survival meal productions again. Alrighty, gonna fast forward to the next event then. And now, a couple of days extra later, we have the next mechanoid cluster spawning on us. This time it had a toxic spur on it, which is basically creating a toxic fallout event on the whole map, which is, well, also not really interesting me at all. So we're going to just clear the next area here and wait for outside forces to take care of these problems for us. As long as no troublemaker unit spawns, which is actually providing a life-threatening problem for us, I'm well able to just ignore these guys like that by assigning generous zoning commands and being happy that there are threats just running around here that will be attacking our enemies for us. Because that's a really cheap safety method of destroying raiders that are coming from this or that side. And once the raiders are done bashing down most of the opposition, we can take down these things and take the plunder. I'm not unhappy about these events at all, because this means we are really stacked out with materials, because we're going to receive steel, which we can deconstruct here. Every dead unit here will be yielding materials as well. So overall, it could be worse. It just makes the map a little bit less accessible for us. So let's see what happens next. Another couple of days later, we have our combat supplier ship. Of course, a bulk goods supplier would have been too much to ask for. But at the same time, let's see what these guys have in store for us. Pretty good armors, that's for sure. An EMP launcher was not really necessary for me in that situation, but there's the stuff I was looking for. A smoke launcher. Smoke launchers are just awesome. We're going to pay for that with the components we found. Funny enough that we're now exactly using the components I was featuring a moment before. And long story short, with a smoke launcher, we would be now able to clear out that cluster if we really would want to. As long as your units are standing in a smoke cloud, mechanoid turrets can't lock onto them. So with a smoke launcher, you can slowly advance towards turrets and take them down risk-free. That's why I definitely wanted to have one for sure in my colony. So big gain for us, big gain for us. But beyond that, well, needless to say, it would have been nicer to get a bulk goods trader, but what can we do? Let's fast forward to the next couple of events. Just a few hours after our trade ship arrived, we get a quest from a friend calling us to defend him, but a 82-year-old bartender chased by more than a dozen of angry archer people are nothing I want to step up against, while half of my folks, no, 2/3 of my folks are suffering from food poisoning. Lately I started to train Julian in the art of cooking as well, and therefore food poisoning events are happening a little bit more often. The problem is just if a food poisoning incident happens while you are cooking a batch of 4, the food poisoning is in all 4 of the meals. So as you see here, they are reinfecting themselves again and again, but it will stop ultimately when the faulty batch has been eaten up. But before that, the pukies stay in town. And I much prefer not to fight during phases like that. You can counteract that easily by not letting incompetent people cook, or just use nutri-paste dispensers. That's also a way of keeping this disaster away from you. So Julian has enough of all that, and he's hiding in his room now. Relatable, but not really helpful either. Luckily, there's so little work to do that we're not really in any trouble with that. We also researched the recon armor technology, and I noticed that the recon armor doesn't need any steel whatsoever. So once we get our hands on a little bit of uranium, I will most certainly build a few more armor parts. I am also considering the recon helmets, because we do have a decent supply of plasteel, and it would make our people a little bit better armored against the things to come. But at the same time, deep down inside, I'd much prefer to build a piece of armor instead. But, well, I haven't fully thought this through yet, but what remains to say is we're still waiting for more building materials. Let's see what happens next. Now, after something like almost a week has passed, the next event happening was, of course, a mechanoid hive attacking us one more time. That's, I'm saying it like that because we are here in a map during winter that features temperatures where no human being could survive. Once the game has lasted long enough, the storytellers no longer send enemies after you, which will ultimately just die in the environment there. So during winter now, we're only being attacked by mechanoids, and that's just what we have to expect nowadays. Now, I'm waiting a little bit inside because the strike force here is consisting out of 2 lancers and a pikeman, which we can easily topple. But what's really important first is that we got to wait for the Lancer to engage on the turrets before we start to attack it. I don't want the Lancer to engage on my other folks. It's really important for me. We have to step back now, or no, we don't. Okay. I guess the pikemen will go on our other people now, but that's some risk we have to endure. Abema got a shot into her leg. We can consider ourselves lucky that she got to keep that leg. And now we're going to chain stun the pikemen to avoid further damage. I don't want to lose anybody here against these monsters. So spamming stuns is an adequate way of countering a couple of shots. Bishop is now overheated, but we did it. We won that fight. That's good. None of our turrets died, but we did lose really much steel in the process of fighting them back. Just hope that the refurbishing of the barrels won't be costing us more resources than we gained. That would be really unfortunate, but the chances are that we're going to spend more steel than we gained. Alright. I'm very, very happy that Abema was allowed to keep her leg, because honestly, that's one of the biggest problems with the mechanoid attacks. Losing limbs from Lancer gunshots is something normal. In a horrible way, it's a very normal thing occurring when you're fighting against mechanoids. So I'm really happy that it didn't happen this time. Alright, so we gained 198, we gained like 38 steel. Let's see how bad it was. Oh my god, really bad. We did spend a lot more steel than we gained. But the problem for me remains that without the help of the turrets, I don't want to fight these guys, because I use the turrets more as a decoy and less as a fighting force. But if they are not ammoed up, they're not shooting, and therefore they are no threat for the mechanoids, so I have to ammo them up. But every shot the Lancers take, which is not aimed against my colonists, is a good shot. because, well, if a Lancer manages to hit a vital part of the body, like the brain, the heart, the spine, they can instantaneously kill people with one shot, even armored people. I've had a occasion where somebody wearing a full marine armor got one shot in the heart by a Lancer. That's just how these things work, and therefore I take them with very, very high care. Alrighty, so let's see what happens next. Yet another week later, the winter has passed and our map is now tainted in green. I wanted to say tinted, but it's actually tainted. And the next big thing that happened was a big ball of slate falling from the sky, which is actually kind of like the best piece of news we had, because this opens up an angle to defeat that cluster if I really would want to. But beyond that, the most breaking news were that we're slowly training Julian to a plants level where we're actually gaining more rice than we eat. So I was slowly building up the packaged survival meal production again. We are now at 40 pieces, we're now racking up 60 again. But beyond that, life out here is really, really slow, steady, and kind of like boring for most of our people. Bishop and the others are already starting to develop cabin fever. Well, now they are. Oh, it's already trapped underground. And he's also trying to romance with Abema, but sadly that doesn't come together. She keeps rebuffing him, but, you know, she's a misandrist, and I'm not really surprised about that. So after all, Bishop's mood has suffered a bit from that. I also started to dig out a few of our enemies again and start to engage the resource gaining process again, because we are, after all, slowly running low on meat. And also the leathers are very, very valuable. Beyond that, I felt like it's time for a new armchair here in the colony, and that's pretty much all that happened in the last 9 or 10 days. We are still sitting it out. The toxic fallout here doesn't really matter for us at all. I am just waiting for the next event to happen, and let's see what happens next. And the next trade ship has hit town, and guess what? It's yet another combat supplier ship. At least they're not sending me slavers every time they send me a ship, but sadly the next combat supplier is not really what I was waiting for. We're just selling off our survival meals here. I won't be buying anything from these fellas because honestly there is nothing to buy. But I'm not too unhappy about that. Oh, we're actually being attacked at the same time. Now that's at least worth mentioning. Ha. Well, I'm a little bit sad about the fact that we're getting flooded like that with things we don't want to have. But, well, what can I say? Such is life. I need to check out the message here though one more time. No, they're attacking immediately. I've only seen that they were attacking from that angle, but I've noticed that there was a different angle too. Just don't know where. These are the guys that are lingering around all the time. Ah, here. So it's 2 pikemen and 1 lancer. Okay. So let's wait it out for now. And Bishop went onto a food binge. What a timely thing to do now. So what I want to do now is I want to imprison Bishop in response to that, because we are really not in a situation where we can't afford him to be in a food binge. We really need his firepower right now. So therefore, Bishop, grab your gun, get over it, man, and start shooting. Alright, so we're going to start with the Lancer there. I'm quite happy that I get to start with the Lancer. As usual, waiting for the turrets to open fire and then taking the situation in our own hands. Take it down, please. Alright, we got that. Seems like Julian's position ain't bad. Oh, we already took down the other pikeman. Very good. So it's only one pikeman left. I'm stepping forward past the turret here because I'm way too concerned about the turret exploding on us. There we go, but fight already won quite quickly. So, yet again, our turrets are shooting out more ammunition than we gain from that. But overall, I'm not that unhappy. So, and with that one, we're going to try what happens if Bishop and Abema are sleeping in the future in the same room. Maybe that'll change something about their feelings towards each other. I mean, a romance between two people in that environment would be actually one of the best things that could happen to us. Because, you know, there are really not many stronger mood gainers than a regular companionship, including some loving, of course. So one thing that's concerning me a little bit, our food stocks have reduced quite substantially. That was mostly because we had a solar flare right before a harvest a while ago, and that didn't really go well for us. So we could gain another mechanoid cluster for another colonist. That's something like I really don't want it to happen. But yeah, food is running a little bit low, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem, honestly. What's a problem though is these constant mechanoid attacks cost me more steel than they bring me steel. It's really annoying, but I already explained it a while ago. It's for me the safest way of beating down mechanoids without risking one-shots on my people. Alrighty, so let's see what happens next. I consider it as a strange kind of humor what the storyteller did to me the last few days. So we had a meteorite of compacted steel here, then we had a meteorite of compacted plasteel here, the slate one you already knew. The problem here is, as much as I would love to mine these out, the clusters here are heavily obstructing the way. And I really don't want to mess with these mechanoids unless they get provoked by something else. As much as I would want to get outside there and chop down that thing, I really don't feel like it would be good for us. Although, I'd say, let's try if we can mine that thing out without Julian going to die by toxic fallout. There is a decent chance, in my opinion, that nothing bad will happen. Right, let's see. Abema is also on the mining front. How good is she at mining? Not really good. But this might be at least enough for us to start working on the chem fuel refinery. The problem about the chem fuel refinery, though, is quite simple. Ooh. That seems to be a bad idea. So we have to arrest Abema. The chem fuel refinery is really important for us to gain money in general. Let's see where she's going to stroll to. Is she? Yeah, okay, she's going back inside. I was just concerned that she might be not going back inside after all. But now hauling that stuff is yielding us very, very high moral debuffs. And let's harvest that. Okay, he is not able to harvest that. But since it was a pretty harmless breakdown, I'm quite happy about it. Because, you know, a catharsis is providing you relief for quite a long time. Food-wise, we start to stabilize again. Julian is finally has hit level 6 in plants, which means he has a decent success chance, and he's also quite happily working at it. So we are, as a matter of fact, replenishing our food stocks here. Now, let's send Abema to haul that steel too. Not only poor old Bishop, sending a one-legged man to haul steel back home is really brutal. But, you know, in situations like these, even hauling something is something like an adventure. And therefore, we're giving it a little bit of airtime here. But that meteorite was probably the best thing that happened to us since a long time. Because now we are able to sustain ourselves again a bit better. Especially this, this is the opener for us creating the refinery. And now we will do that. I'm going to undraft her from that thing. Oh man, that's a pretty big event for us. Not gonna lie. So we're going to produce that thing over here. Now I feel easily capable to spend 150 silver steel like that. And most importantly, now I can process that human meat constantly without having to wait for the rice to back it up. So, power. Okay, let's create chem fuel from organics. And we're only gonna do it out of human meat. Wonderful. So this way our enemies will now provide steady supply of tradable materials for us. The only issue I got is that this stuff is highly explosive, so it's going to be a little bit of a pickle here to work around with that properly, but I already got an idea. So I'm going to shrink out the zone here like that. And I'm going to create a new stockpile zone inside here like that. There we go. And that's going to be where the chem fuel is being stored. This way, there is a lower chance of an explosion event just outright destroying all our items. But at the same time, it's not that... wait a sec. But at the same time, we are still quite limited with our storage area now as well. I see the problematics with that, but if that stuff explodes, we're in trouble anyways. But well, for now it'll do. I gotta wait until I got new opportunities to build. But speaking about new opportunities to build, there is finally a bulk goods trader approaching. So let's see if the bulk goods trader will trigger the enemies, but obviously not. Okay, let's trade with reindeer. And never mind, they are actually fighting it. Okay, but that's also our opportunity to strike. So let's go. The bulk goods trader might be actually despawning because of that, which would be actually, like, I don't know, adding insult to injury. But I feel like if there was ever a good moment to take that fight, it is now. Okay, let's slow down a bit. Alrighty. The Lancer has started to shoot us, so we have to fire back. Okay, we got that Lancer too. Awesome. Meanwhile, the caravan is totally gone. And the fire has completely turned on our people here. So actually that situation is completely going wrong now. Okay. But at least we got an explosion in there. Okay, one last turret. Come on. And let's take down that stupid spewer. Abema is dying soon too, but if we don't take down the spewer, we got other problems to take care of. Okay, so first things first, we're going to put down a sleeping spot here. Okay, Abema is dead. Where's Julian going? Why is he moving towards there? Nobody can tell me that. Yeah. Alright. He's not hypothermic, so I'm going to allow him to treat himself. And Julian is dying soon too. Gosh. That situation is so horrible right now. Alright, Bishop is going to self-tent there, and we're all dead. And Ironhead is coming for the rescue. Okay. Is Julian rescuable? No, he's not. He's dead. We're back to 2 people. I'll just accept that like that. Okay, so let's get back to the situation. We got loads of pemmican, we got a bit of steel, but there's literally a bulk goods trader dying under our eyes there, and it's just horrible. I can't tell you how sad I am about the end of this episode, but life has a very weird way of... it's a very weird humor life seems to have here, but we're going to accept that. Alrighty, friends. So what a grand finale for this episode. Let's sign Ironhead to the danger zone before anything goes bad. Before everything goes bad. Let's bury that hero. Good old Julian. But Ironhead is quite a beast, gotta say. He's like the fusion of both colonists we had before together. And therefore, I think we are not in the worst situation right now. So it might be that we lost very much, but we also gained a lot. We have lots of food here from the trade caravan available. I just need to assign that zone. So we can now expand the danger zone again, obviously. The downside is we're only 2 people now. The plus side is we got one guy that's just outright a beast. And we gained lots of materials here as well. Like, there's really a lot of stuff to grab here. But the most important things are that we're grabbing these guns there. So let's expand that zone again. I know that's not what I wanted to do, but... well, let's do this like that. Alrighty, so... oh, just when I wanted to outro that. Oh, the Nala Federation people are just coming to at the right moment to have some fun here. So let's see how this goes. Jeez, that was like one of the most pathetic attempts to crack down some mechanoids. Alrighty, friends, so that's gonna be the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. We compressed like almost 3 seasons in 1 episode, but I felt like I didn't want to have an episode full of nothing, so feel free to drop me a comment down below. I would be deeply appreciating feedback about that, because, you know, I want to make this series as entertaining as possible. And besides that, of course, leave a thumbs up on that video if you like my kind of work. It goes a long way when you help me like that. And another thing, there are also links in the description below to my Twitch channel, to my Patreon, and other ways to support me. And since I'm doing daily shows and solely relying on advertisement incomes and such, you can help me a great deal if you decide to support me as well. It's up to you, no pressure behind that. I'd be just very, very happy if there would be some coffees flowing towards me, or whatever feels like a great thing for you. Don't mind me about that advertisement too much, though. I hope you guys had a great time, and be coming back the next time when we're going to deal with all the fallout of the events past. Because, you know... ooh, what a nice outro. Bam. that's that. See you guys next time, and thanks for your time. Bye-bye!